Hey, how's it going? Dylan here. Today I'm going to be going through the top 10 thrillers in my Blu-ray collection, which I finally managed to narrow down after much consideration. I'm really bad at making, definitive rankings. So this video isn't necessarily in an exact order, because, as I said, I'm really bad at actual rankings, but this is my pretty much definite top 10, and the last one, the top one I'm definite about, but the rest are kind of on par for me for the most part. Some of them are worse than others, but basically grabbed all my thrillers out that I consider a thriller. That's the other thing that I find really hard in terms of genres. Obviously some things cross over into other genres, some things might be considered a genre but they're not really, kind of thing, but I just went with what I felt was correct. First up we have The Game, which is a film by David Fincher. It was, I believe, his third film after Seven and obviously Alien 3, which is notorious. I really like The Game. It's kind of underappreciated, I find. Not a lot of people really talk about it, but it's one of those films where I don't necessarily think of it straight away when I'm thinking of thrillers or something to watch, but then as soon as I start watching it, or if I remember about it, see it, then I'll be fully engaged and I will be right on into it there. Obviously it stars Michael Douglas and Sean Penn, a bunch of other people. It's a really cool, kind of smart psychological thriller, which is, you're going to kind of realise that that's kind of my favourite type of thriller. And really highly recommend this. Obviously I'm a big fan of Fincher himself as well, his directing style. It's actually probably the least known of his films, along probably with Panic Room, I think. Panic Room doesn't even have a Blu-ray release, so that's not in my collection. Second up, we have Alfonso Cuarón's Gravity, which I kind of put in as a thriller because it's kind of edge of your seat, and when I saw this in the cinema, it was an experience that kind of thrilled me, I guess you could say, from the beginning right until the last frame of the movie, and it was fantastically done. Really amazing CG for its time. It still holds up really nicely today. And really good performances, like starring Sandra Bullock and George Clooney, mainly in the whole movie. Fantastic film. Third up, I guess you could say number 8, if we're ranking things in reverse, Only God Forgives by Nicholas Winding Refn. He's one of my favourite up-and-coming directors. Well, he's not really up-and-coming, but lesser known, I guess you could say. And this film is really weird, really fantastic, and has a certain sense of dread or mysteriousness combined throughout the entire runtime, and it's very, very not literal. You have to kind of interpret what the movie means, but it's a fantastic thriller and really cool cinematography, like some of the best cinematography I've ever seen. Maybe I'll do a video on my favourite cinematography in my collection. That's a good idea. Okay, at number 7 we have 10 Cloverfield Lane, which I really love as a self-contained psychological thriller. It's got really good pacing and tension building, and fantastic performances by John Goodman and Mary Elizabeth Winstead. Both of those actors are some of my favourites, and I think they tend to be underappreciated these days in films, but this film gave them time to shine, and it's fantastic. Even without the Cloverfield connection, it's just so good, and I would gladly have this over any other Cloverfield. At number 6 we have a film that many of you might not necessarily know. It's an Australian film called Dead Calm. It stars Sam Neill, Nicole Kidman, and Billy Zane, of all people. This was done in the 80s, and everyone here is really ridiculously young, as you might be able to tell. But it's a fantastic kind of psychological thriller set on the open ocean, and there's this couple, Sam Neill and Nicole Kidman, who are on a yacht or a boat, and they are kind of going out, and they come across a boat that seems to be abandoned or sinking, and they see a man swimming towards them from it, and that's Billy Zane. I'm not going to reveal anything else, but this has some of the best kind of tension and the score. The music score is really good and really adds to the presentation. And it's really fantastically shot. It's not super good quality because it's a bit old and probably low budget, but really, really good performances here, especially by Nicole Kidman. But Sam Neill and Billy Zane also really own these roles. Okay, so at number 5 we have Denis Villeneuve directed Prisoners, which is his second feature film, not his first. A lot of people think it's his first because Enemy was released after it, but it was actually filmed first. This film he pairs with Roger Deakins for the cinematography, which he obviously went on to film a ton of movies with in his career at the moment, which are fantastic. This film has the most fantastic mood and kind of atmosphere. I love watching this one on rainy days because it's all gloomy, but it's so atmospheric that it's a joy to watch. Really good performances by Hugh Jackman, really deep performance. Jake Gyllenhaal, Terrence Howard, ton of other people, and just a really fantastic crime thriller. At number 4 we have Ex Machina, obviously written and directed by Alex Garland, who wrote and directed Annihilation, the new one, which is being really successful. This one a lot of people probably know about already, but it's a nice sci-fi, or soft sci-fi psychological thriller with Alicia Vikander in her first kind of big role, Domhnall Gleeson, Oscar Isaac. So really cool, strong cast, and really good writing and premise. So definitely check this one out. At number 3 we have another Villeneuve, Enemy, his first film with Jake Gyllenhaal. Really fantastic, really odd film with kind of cool kind of little twist to it, and it's filmed interestingly. I'm not a huge fan of the cinematography in this. It has a really strong color grade, but kind of suits it. It's kind of weird. The ending to this is so divisive, and heaps of people, obviously there's heaps of videos analysing it and figuring out what it means. It's a really cool kind of psychological thriller. Again, I'm a big fan of psychological thrillers, with a really strong performance from Gyllenhaal, who's one of my favourite actors these days. Really good film. At number 2, second favourite thriller in my collection is Sicario, another Villeneuve film. What a surprise. This film has probably my absolute favourite kind of building moment of tension, and Cinefix did a really good video on it, on this moment of the film, so go check that out. But really strong cast, and the soundtrack or lack of soundtrack during these tense moments, and cinematography again by Roger Deakins, just make this film an instant classic and just a joy to watch. Like, I can watch this whole film over and over again easily with no repercussions. And my absolute favourite thriller that is in my Blu-ray collection is, if you know me well, you might know this already, Collateral, which is directed by Michael Mann. Bit different to the rest of the ones on this list, but I have seen this film so many times, and it never gets old. It's got a fantastic, probably my favourite performance by Tom Cruise ever, and because he's a bad guy, basically. Jamie Foxx does really well in this, and this was filmed on like some of the earlier digital cameras, and one of the first films to realise kind of their low light capabilities. Michael Mann's a big fan of that. Did it in Miami Vice as well a few years later. But this film, I love it. The soundtrack is fantastic. It has a great Audioslave song in there, which is one of my favourites as well. And whenever it's on TV, I will watch it, even though I've got it on Blu-ray. If I see it's on, I will just watch it. It's just fantastic thriller, and has some of my favourite kind of crime movie moments in it. Alright, I hope you enjoyed my picks for my top 10 thrillers in my Blu-ray collection, and hopefully I'll do more of these videos soon, with my son coming along soon into the world. I won't have as much chance to go out to the cinema and watch new releases for a little bit, like probably about 2 weeks or so. So I'm going to be doing more of these videos, and hopefully I'll keep them going. Got a few good ideas to go. I'll definitely put polls up on what to do next on Twitter, and follow me on the links below, again on Twitter. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you want to see more, and as always, take care, till next time.